Hi everyone. Is everyone okay? I like to check in because usually at the end of a conference everyone's a bit like, ooh. Yeah, I'm from Manchester, if you haven't guessed from my accent. Thanks for inviting me back. I was here last year for the first one. And just for those of you that don't really know what's going on, I'm in the same place, trust me. So I have to write a poem based on what I've seen and heard from today, based on my experience. And usually I try to be quite sequential and linear with that and just kind of document what I've seen. But this poem hasn't come out like that. And I've literally just finished it. So be generous. Yeah, and I'm going to try and read it well, but obviously I've been scribbling and stuff, so, you know, I'm going to try and read my writing. That's what I'm going to try and do for you. Yeah, it doesn't have a title. Here we go. I take a deep breath and smile at the team from KQ. They've invited me back to be Poet-Chronicler for conference number 2. I rush up to the foyer, ready to start taking notes with gusto. Look around and it feels like a Bjork video. It's all so quiet. Shh, shh. Then my geeky heart almost jumps out of my throat because Dr. Maggie Adarin Pocock has just walked past me ahead of her keynote. Then it's back to the morning murmur. A woman drops her coffee on the floor, and I wonder if that can be used as some kind of metaphor. Keisha, I say, stop grasping at straws. Maybe today the extended metaphor won't be a thing. Maybe today this poem will require you to sing. The idea will present itself, and I'll just have to listen. Rowley gives a chirpy welcome, and it sets the perfect tone for the morning. And before introducing Keir Starmer, he warns that there's a paradox with our digital tools. They allow us to build bridges as well as echo chambers. All the speakers are bursting with energy and impassioned voice, talking about barriers, rockets, and doors. I'm spoilt for choice. Which one of these should I choose as my extended metaphor? But the more I start to try writing the poem, the more it feels like a chore. So in the face of writer's block, I switch up the methodology. I whip out my dictionary app and I go for some etymology. Knowledge is an abstract noun. Trace it back and it literally means a higher thing. Something just isn't chiming. An abstract noun is something that cannot be experienced through the senses. Why does that definition feel absurd? I reflect on everything that I've heard. Realise that maybe abstract isn't the problematic word. What if we changed noun to a verb? And there it is. I realise what I've been missing. I remember a quote from Sinatra: the commodification of knowledge is a lethal thing. All this time, I've been trying to reduce my idea for this poem into a single metaphor: an echo chamber, a barrier, a sliding door. But therein lies the flaw, because it isn't a thing to be found. It's an experience that we endure. And that's how our problems proceed, like those Facebook coders who've reduced our interest for the world into narrow-minded news feeds, like the misreporting of unverified science reports, which are serving an unquestioned public greed. Like all the children who are chained by that question, what do you want to be? When really we should just ask them, what do you like to do? Because when I was little and got asked that question, I didn't have a clue. I used to say, I don't think I know what it's called yet. Like Madani said, we don't know the answers, but we know the questions should be asked. It's less about the words and more about the voice. Like the engineer I spoke to at the break, he said it's about choice. He said this conference has made him realise that he's been reading blindly. Summed up his thinking with a smoking analogy. You know, you get all those images on the packet. It's about transparency. I want access to the information so I can choose to behave for myself. So knowledge can still be a higher thing, but don't focus on the height of the shelf. It's more about the leap. Like Juliet from British Land jumping onto the stage for her lightning talk. As Sinatra said, there's nothing wrong with a barrier as long as you know that it can be surmounted. It's about the momentum, about context, about aspiration. That changes a two-bedroom flat for 6 people in Camden to a situation in Calcutta where people are bursting with aspiration. Juliet from British Land said, it's about the permission for magic. So 20 years can mean a childhood mired by the construction of HS2 train or a journey to another planet, estimated by Stephen Hawking. So when we stop thinking of knowledge as a thing, it removes the idea of status. It removes us thinking of it as something that can be brandished like we're some kind of Christopher Columbus. Knowledge is that moment when Maggie realised that 1 cubic centimetre is equal to a gram. It's Madani asking, how do we lose control? It's me telling Inua that insomnia can be fixed by a few lavender oil drops on a pillow. It's that break time when Rowley says, well, we should all get a restorative cup of tea. It's me admitting that I got the idea for this poem when I went for a wee. It's the young people on the panel saying that there should be more young people in the room. It's the importance of a 2-week deliberation gap for the Citizens' Assembly. It's Maggie explaining that motion pictures for mapping projections of the universe are better, and they're being used by NASA now instead of static satellite images, which are basically depicting our history. It's Clive telling us that female coders are no different to male coders, except for their experience of being systematically undermined. It's Hazel telling me over lunch that experiential knowledge holds validity. It's me inferring that everyone is really concerned about the political future of this country because I've heard Boris Johnson's name and his floppy hair crop up in more conversations than I've had green cups of tea. And so someone says, I've seen 10 people in this room alone that could run this country easily. So my conclusion is that conferences like this give space for hope. They allow us to take pause and dismantle our tropes. Speak not of the round, speak of the curve. Speak not of the sound, speak of the reverb. Speak not of the frown, but of the disturb. Speak not of the abstract noun, but of the abstract verb. I'm rounding up this poem as there's some contention in the room. And that's what we want. A bit of critique, the challenge of consensus, communitarianism, the constant need for us not to assume. Like my journey with this poem, starting the day thinking that it would just be a series of carefully constructed words, not appreciating that the poem was really in the act of thinking about it, in writing it, in speaking it, and more importantly, in it being heard. Thank you.